Hello,
and welcome to Player2 Productions' second podcast. These podcasts will span a wide range of topics, mainly video game topics, and will also include top 10s and things like that.
And in the next podcast in the series, today we'll be discussing boss zombies. Now, this is a fairly controversial subject, I suppose you could say. It's not a standard one. What we're planning to do now is ranking the boss zombies from like the most annoying to the least annoying, but also taking into account like how much of a pussy the zombie is or how much of a badass the zombie is.
Yeah, okay. But I think the good thing about this list is that there's going to be a clear divide, in my opinion, between the weaklings and the badass guys. So to kick off the list, just to clarify beforehand, we're going to be talking about the Panzer in the sense that of both Panzers in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2, and we're also going to be talking about the Margwas in all of their variants, because obviously there's the Shadows of Evil Margwa, and then we've got all the Margwas in Revelations, and similar things with the Keeper and the Parasites. There's a slight difference between the ones in Shadows and the ones in Revelations. So when we mention Keeper, for example, we mean all forms of Keeper, because they're all Keepers. So let's jump straight into this. So, Kieran, do you care to start us off?
I think this one is pretty much what everyone was expecting. Even Jason Blundell admitted himself that these things were there as a distraction, just to cause you hell. It's got to be the Parasites.
The Parasites. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say Denizens.
No. The most useless is because they just get in your way. But even Blundell said in those interviews they were primarily there just to distract the player, and they do a really good job at it. And someone will always accidentally kill one and end the round. And it's just such a waste of points and a waste of bullets and just a waste of time. This is nothing good.
No, I can somewhat agree, but purely because of how many bullets it takes to kill the Parasite, which is very, very minimal. I think I'm going to have to put one before that, which is going to be not really a zombie. It's not really a boss zombie at all. Oh, and by the way, by boss zombies, we just mean anything that's not a skeleton from Horizon or a regular zombie. So anything that's not those two counts as boss zombies. I'm going to say that the monkeys from Shangri-La, just purely based on the fact that one knife and that's it, and they're over. Plus, they're just so annoying. They nick your fire cells and max ammos.
The only reason I'm not placing them on the lowest list is because if you work out the structure of the way, because obviously when the monkey takes the drop, I don't know if everyone knows this, but the drop rotates while it's above the monkey. Yeah. So if a nuke spawns and you don't want a nuke and you're really pressed for like ammo, you can follow the monkey round until a max ammo appears. Obviously, kill the monkey, then you can take the max ammo.
Okay. I sort of.
So they're kind of helpful, but it's like as soon as I think the prime example is like you're really badly injured, you're red screened, there's no zombies nearby, but if a drop has happened and someone's taken the drop and you're red screened and a monkey hits you, it will still down you.
Okay, yeah.
It's the most irritating and embarrassing way to die. Death
by monkey. Worst way to go. I'm sure there's a racist joke in there somewhere.
Okay.
I'm editing that out.
You just don't have to edit that out. You just really don't. Oh dear. Wow. Okay, I'm going to change the subject very quickly.
Moving on.
I say the neck. It's got to be the Denizens, hasn't it?
Oh really? Yeah.
You just need to look at the. Not to mention they're on the shittest map. It's just shit from when it starts. I'm sure there's a lot of raging that we can do when we actually do best to worst maps, but it's a shit map. You have a shit time. The atmosphere is shit. The weapons are shit.
Everything
the structure is shit. There's lava everywhere. It's shit. It's got the shittest wonder weapon, as we've already discussed.
Yeah.
And then the Denizens, you're like, oh great, I've completely missed the bus, but I need to get to the town because I can't stay at power all day because Avagrodriel is going to come and kill me or electrocute me. So you think, I'll have this leisurely jog through the fog. And then all of a sudden, you know, something latches onto your face and you end up having a face, period. It just scratches you to death. I mean, I don't get it. If a denizen is coming towards you, and you knife it while it's coming towards you, it's an insta-kill. But when it's latched onto your face, it takes 5 normal knives, 3 Bowie knives, and I think it's like 2 Galva knuckles.
Yeah. I mean, they're just stupid. They're not necessary, unnecessary.
Especially for a map where you need to run through the fog to get stuff done.
The map is bad enough in itself.
The Easter egg, you need to get to that pylon that's in the middle of a field that you can't get to because there's fucking fog everywhere. But you know, you're running through it. As soon as you make a mistake, you need to train loads of zombies around that pylon for the Easter egg, but you get it wrong and a denizen latches onto your face, and then you stop running. You're trying to knife it, a zombie hits you. You're down. It's just such an awful experience. And the denizens are just little tiny arseholes. They look like complete bellends, and they just make your whole experience just so bad. And yeah,
pretty self-explanatory. Kieron has said it all. Denizens are also going to be my coming in at my number 2 spot as well. Moving on after that great rant of yours. It's a tough one because there's a lot of boss zombies that
they're just complete nutter arseholes.
Yeah, they're arseholes.
It just ruins your whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to argue personally. I think that the spiders from Zetsubo and Shima are actually worse or more kind of, you know, weaker and just more annoying than the parasites.
Yeah, they're just irritating.
But that's just me. I mean, they're just. I understand Jason Vandell when he was like, "Oh, this is going to be the scariest map yet." First time playing the game, okay, I understand. Maybe a bit creepy, but I'm a huge arachnophobe. Like, unlike my mate Kieron here, he loves them. I hate spiders, but I can just the ones in Zetsubo, they're just annoying. They're not even scary. Skyrim spiders.
No, I think it's everyone says the ones in Zetsubo are just so ridiculous, and it's like. If they jumped out of the middle of nowhere and scared you, then there's a difference, but they don't. They just follow you around the map and basically shoot jizz at you.
Yeah, no, they're just stupid. They're irritating and annoying. Not even scary. Just get out of here.
However, spiders aren't my next pick, but my next pick is also from Zetsubo.
Okay.
Which means, you know, I think people know what's coming. The Thrashers.
Right.
These are the most irritating things on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Right, they just look stupid. You know, they have behavioural problems. They're literally just zombies on their periods all the time for the very simple reason, you know, it's calm and collected 1 minute, then the next minute it's raging its arse off at you. It's just running around, it's trying to eat you, you know, and the thing is, they spawn at the most inconvenient time. You're training loads and loads of zombies, you're having a really good time, and then a Thrasher just spawns in front of you. It blocks the only path out, and there you go, completely and utterly gang raped by zombies. And then it just goes off and does its thrashy business. Not to mention, when you're doing the main boss fight in Zetsubo, there is literally just an unlimited amount of the things.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's just so easy. So literally, the only saving grace is they're really weak against the KT4.
Yeah, no, the KT4 is their kryptonite.
And the skull.
Yeah, I mean,
Sapway.
We've already spoken about that here in the previous podcast. The skull completely destroys them, as does the KT4, which is lucky. And the thing with the Thrashers that was such a disappointment for me, which is why they're going to come up soon on my list, is that the boss in Shadows was the Magro. I mean, those things, although they're easily killed, I suppose they're tough. Same with the Panzer. You know, we're having some tough zombies, and the Thrasher comes along. It's the same height as you. I know that sounds a bit, you know, petty, but they're quite relatively small boss zombies, and they're terribly weak as well when it comes down to it. When it comes down to comparing them against the Magros and the Panzers, the Thrashers, they just weren't a proper boss zombie in my opinion. They were too weak. They should have been stronger and bigger. They would have been more annoying if they were, but I think they would have been a bit more respected if they were as well.
I could go with that one.
Thank you. Moving on.
So, yeah, no, I think then you can't really. It's kind of one boss, but it's not. It's the witches from Buried.
Okay. Even before the monkeys from Shangor.
I literally, like, I hate Buried at the best of times. It's such a boring map. You know, there are a couple of good things to it. I mean, like, Leroy is a good addition, but it's just utilised in a really bad way. And then the witch's house, right? So you've got to go through it to get to Pack-a-Punch. So, you know, you've got an awesome gun. You know, you've got the like the Wild West pistol. I can never remember its name from Buried. You know, really awesome gun.
Oh yeah.
And then
I can remember it Pack-a-Punch for some reason. But I can't.
And then you've got all of the awesome like LMGs and assault rifles in Buried. And I mean, even although I don't like it, you've got the paralyzer. That obviously is important in the Easter egg.
Not
obviously you want to get Pack-a-Punched, and so you save up, you know, like 7,000 points. You're on the go. You know, you're on the ball.
Remington New Model
Army. That's the one. But you know, you've got 7,000 points. You're on the ball. You know, you're ready. You want to Pack-a-Punch, and you get to the witch's house.
Yeah.
You go in, you know, really rich, and you come out with absolutely fuck all, because this bitch just appears out of nowhere. You know, no matter what direction you're looking, no matter how many players there are, no matter what direction you're looking at, she would appear. So if there's two of you in the witch's house, and one of you's looking behind, and one of you's looking in front, a witch will spawn in front and behind. And no matter what happens, like, your mate or the other players in the team don't have a clue what happens in the witch's house because they're noobs, and you just want to power ahead, and they're looking behind them, and there's like 7 witches that spawn, and they're like, help me, and then you turn round and you try and kill all of the fucking witches that are already there, but you forget that you've looked from a direction. So the witches come from behind you, and before you know it, 7,000 points is nothing, and then they start to damage you.
He's got some strong opinions, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear that in mind. I can completely agree though with the witch's point. It's just what they do. I think 2,000 points deducted. That is too much.
It's just
too much, in my opinion.
Any point deducted, you spend your hard-earned time earning that money by killing zombies, having a good time, and then this stupid, miserable cow comes along and just steals everything.
I think even like 1,000 points is too much, because 7 hits and you're out. And although 7 hits sounds like a lot, I mean, for the average zombies player, as they're making their way through the witch's house, it's not really a maze once you get used to it and you know where you're going. If it's your first time going to the witch's house, no idea where you're going, you're looking in all directions. 7 hits isn't it's not rare. You're probably going to get hit more than 7 times, and that would lose all of your money. Even if they only took 1,000 points off, they take double that. They take 2,000 points off every time you get hit by them, and it's just ridiculous. And I think that it's too much. It's too much. If it was like 500 points per hit, fine. I guess I could get along with that, but no, it's just stupid. It's ridiculous, and all Kieran's points stand as well. No, they're just the worst. Not quite the worst, given my previous choices, but definitely up there, and they're going to be my next choice, because for now I'm going to have to say the parasites are going to be on my list, because while Kieran's number 1, they're my number 4, because everything above them is just hell.
They're just pointless.
They're not literally.
They don't do any damage. It's just they're just such a waste of time.
Yeah,
they're just there. You can't get rid of them. It's like that one annoying kid that's in your school that you never want to socialise with, but it's just always there, and you can never escape him or her.
Well, moving on from that, obviously my next choice is going to be the witches.
And I think now's about the time when I say the undead monkeys from Shan.
Okay.
The only reason that they're not higher up is because I've said you can get a drop that you want.
Yeah.
But if you're not playing zombies as often as we are, you wouldn't know that, so they'd probably be number 1. Like I said, they're just so annoying because they'll just appear out of nowhere, no matter what. You don't really get any points for killing them, I don't think.
No.
You don't get any points. They're more pointless than they are annoying.
Yeah,
I think Shangri-La would have like another couple of points on the I love meter if they just didn't have the stupid little monkeys in them.
Yeah, no, definitely really annoying. Especially, I remember once I First time playing remastered Shangri-La, this was completely my fault, but still the monkey's fault. I went up to the Gobblegum machine and got myself an Immolation Liquidation, and I was like, great, there's a box in the spawn room, I'm going to pop all 3 and I'm going to try and get the baby maker. And I popped all 3 and the stupid bitch runs along, nabs 2 of the things, and I'm just left with 1 fire sale, a nuke, and like a carpenter, and it's just the worst, honestly. They're just, I hate the things, despite the fact that they could give you max ammo or a perk. It doesn't add any brownie points for me, but that's just my opinion. So going on from there, Kieran, what would you say?
The next it seems to be a running thing with Call of Duty to put monkeys in a game. So the next one is the Ascension Space Monkeys.
Okay.
And yet again, to the unexperienced player, you wouldn't know what's going on. But to those more experienced players, I think the only thing I've ever heard on Ascension, everyone, if there's a four player game, all of you protect Jug.
Yeah.
That's it, because these little bastards just appear and steal all of your perks.
Yeah.
And especially in Ascension, right, a map where you need Jug, you need speed. It's a very close quarters map. It is the worst thing possible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that I think that they're too overpowered for what they are, when they can just because the thing with Ascension, especially if you're playing with less than 4 people, is that the perks are so spread out over the map that if your Jug's getting attacked and your Staminup's getting attacked, you can't do it. You can't protect all of them. Similar to the Witches, I think they're a little bit overpowered in their ability.
It's why I never play Ascension single player.
Yeah, no.
Because no matter what, every 4 or 5 rounds you're going to lose a perk that you need.
First mistake I ever made on Ascension was getting a Perkaholic in solo. Worst mistake of my life. By the second monkey round, I had 2 perks left, and it wasn't good, ladies and gentlemen. It just wasn't good. For that reason alone, I think I'm gonna put Ascension monkeys down as well. They're not even strong. They're not even respectable. They're just there, and they're just annoying.
I wouldn't say they're not pointless. They add another layer of depth to the map and the experience, but they are more irritating. Where the other ones are just pointless.
Yeah,
they're on par with like the Thrashers of just being really irritating and just there when you don't want them.
Yeah, no, just they're unnecessary. Well, they're not unnecessary, but irrelevant in my opinion. Okay, so moving on to the next one after Ascension Monkeys.
This one's a deal. I think this time I'm gonna add in something we're not expecting. I'm gonna say the Cosmic Silverback.
Okay. So just for anyone who's confused, the Cosmic Silverback technically isn't a boss zombie, but it technically is. It's not because it's not in regular zombies. It's in the what is it? Dead Ops Arcade.
In Dead Ops Arcade and Dead Ops Arcade 2.
Yes,
I believe.
And it's still a tough boss, but because it's separate to the actual storyline, it's not canon. It's part of this whole other universe. It's I mean, where's your logic?
Well, it's different. It's definitely a different one. I mean, quite rare. You don't kind of encounter the Cosmic Silverback that much, but he's really annoying. So I don't really know too much about the Cosmic Silverback. I know that if he hits you, then you lose like all of your gold, all of your weapons. Yeah. So I know he's irritating because he's really hard to kill. He's quite quick. And the moment he touches you, you've kind of lost everything. I mean, there are so many that are worse, as we've mentioned. Yeah. But I think he needed a mention. He needed a mention. But we couldn't leave him as an honourable mention.
No, of course. I mean, I think he's because of how tough he is. I think he's gonna. I'm probably going to put him further up the list, but we'll see when we get to him. For me, I think I mean, it's a difficult one really because of the there's a lot of nostalgia behind a lot of these bosses. We've all become so familiar with them. But next, I'm probably going to say I'm probably going to say the Shrieker Zombie, because I don't know if you've ever encountered the Shrieker Zombie before, but Shrieker Zombie, but it's actually really weak. And actually, in particular, the napalm zombie as well is actually surprisingly weak and can be killed off, as we've experienced.
It's just
in the
more
past.
the Shrieker zombie. It's just Ascension is a hard map. We know Ascension is a hard map, and for the Shrieker zombie, the one thing that you need is visibility.
Yeah.
On a map that's really close quarters, and
Yeah.
the Shrieker zombie blinds you on a map where you need to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is that, but a couple of good shots on the thing, and it's gone. So for that reason, it's going to be so kind of ranked badly on the list because of just how weak it is. And I don't have much respect for it. I don't just think of it and think, oh, that's such a great boss. No, not at all.
That's my feeling of the next one, really. I mean, so it's the Cosmic Silverback, and the next one is a pet hate. The next one is a pet hate for everybody, and it's got to be the Astronaut from Moon.
Okay, yeah.
For the very simple reason, he's weak. We know he's weak, but he takes your jug. And to lose jug, well, you train all your zombies in Area 51, all is good and glory. You get your jug.
Yeah.
And then the Astronaut immediately takes it away. Then you've got to go through the entire map. You've got to go to the pyramid, turn on the power, go back to Area 51 twice.
Go back again, yeah, because Speed Cola will spawn the second time around.
And it's just, he's always there. He always appears when you're in the tunnels.
Yeah. And
you can't run behind you because you're down, but you can't run in front of you because the bastard will grab you, headbutt you, and you've lost your perks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can agree in terms of, he's just so annoying. He looks tanky, you know, he looks big and bulky because of his suit, but I have to somewhat agree. But I'm actually going to put the Silverback next because just because I think he's a little bit more powerful than you think. He's quite strong. He's really tough to kill in Deluxe Arcade, but because of how separate he is, I just feel like there's not much there for him.
Yeah.
He's just no one really knows about him or of him, so he's going to be quite low down the list. My next one is probably going to be, it's a difficult one. I'm probably going to say Avogadro from Transit.
Okay.
Because as annoying as he can be, he actually doesn't take that. He's not too difficult to kill. A couple of EMP blasts or a few hits from the Galvan Knuckles, and he doesn't die, because I think you kill him in the Easter egg, but I'm not sure. But he definitely leaves. He goes away. He doesn't bother you for a while in the event of EMP grenades or Galvan Knuckles, both of which aren't difficult to get your hands on, especially in the green run maps. The EMPs are just such a troll, and the Galvan Knuckles, I mean, they're quite simple to get. Of course, you have to get a lot of points, but once you do have them,
plus you need to find the correct part, and you can either put it on the bus or you can put it in the diner.
Yeah, that's also true, I guess. But that part is fairly common to find. But once you get your hands on the Galvan Knuckles, that's it really. You know, Avogadro's gone. So for that reason, he's at this spot.
I'm going to go for the next one for irritate. I'm actually going to say the Valkyries from God Quovi.
Okay, the Valkyries. Okay,
like they're not a zombie. Well, I think most people know that they're not a zombie, but it's the fact that I think that they're quite powerful.
Right.
They always appear where you don't want them to, and I mean, if you're doing parts of the Easter egg, and it's like you say train a zombie, obviously the Valkyries bring them alive again, so it just makes life really awkward,
really difficult. Yeah.
And I mean, fair enough. If you have the ray gun Mark III, they're pretty easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
But it's more the initial fact. It's a good idea. They make the map interesting, but yet again, as with most of these bosses, they just appear when you don't want them to.
No, definitely.
And the fact that they bring back zombies alive again when zombies are already dead, it just hurts my head.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the Valkyries were definitely a good addition to the map, but I don't think that they're not likable at all in any way. Like, a lot of the boss zombies are actually liked or respected, or sort of, you know them. And while you may know the Valkyrie, I think it's for the wrong reasons. I think they're quite infamous in terms of fame. My next pick, I think, going down is going to be the Meatballs from Shadows of Evil. Now, I think they have a proper name, but I don't know. But
everyone knows them as the Meatballs anyway, so it's fine.
Meatballs, yeah, it's going to be them because they're annoying. They get in your face, literally. They explode if they come into contact with you. They're a pain in the arse during the flag step on Shadows of Evil. Just don't even get us started on that. But at the same time, they're really weak and you can just knock them out quite simply. Especially with the Apothicon Servant.
I was going to say it's good that they're on the map with the Apothicon Servant because you waste so much of it. And they're really, really susceptible to dingoes as well. The dingo is really good against them, but I mean the dingo is good against everything.
Against everything, yeah. No,
it's just an awesome weapon in general.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going like along the lines of the most annoying. So if I'm going along the lines of most annoying, I'm now going to say our boy George. Okay. Mr. George Romero. May he rest in eternal peace forever. Brilliant man, although very hated on Call of the Dead.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I always find that I forget that he's there, and then he just appears with that very deep laugh, holding the stage light, and you're not even screwed. It's just really awkward because I mean you're shooting all of the zombies and he comes around the corner and you enrage him, and then you've got to train him across all the map just to get him into nice cool water.
Yeah.
And fair enough, he can be killed by the scavenger, but then he immediately comes back again.
Yeah, I mean, and the reward for killing him isn't justified in my opinion. It's like a 30-second or more than that, 3 minutes. I can't remember how long it is.
It's a wonder waff.
It's a wonder waff.
As I've discussed, there are so many more wonder weapons you could have given us.
Yeah,
but no, the wonder waff.
It's not even that great because it's only temporary. If it was permanent, maybe fine, but no, it's not. So for that, I get that. He's a tough one.
I'm actually going to put Avogadro next though.
Okay.
Because he's pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, no one plays Transit anyway because it's shite. But he doesn't even do that much damage. But I mean, the bus is your like essential piece of equipment to survive on Transit.
Yeah, I know.
The one bit of the map that's like worthwhile and justifiable.
Yeah.
This boss zombie breaks.
Yeah. He completely destroys the bus.
It just stops working, and then, as we've already discussed, that means you've got to run through the fog, which means you're going to get face raped by the denizens. Yeah. So it's just everything on Transit just leads to a really disgusting experience. And Avogadro, although he's not bad, like you said, he's really weak. Smack him with a Galva Knuckles, chuck an EMP grenade at him, and he's gone. He just doesn't need to be there in the first place. It just makes a really annoying map worse.
No, definitely. I think as my point stood before, he's just. I don't even see the relevance of the zombie storyline. Now that could just be my lack of knowledge, but I just don't see it. We've never seen him recur in another map. I don't even think he's been mentioned in another map, and he's
a clever concept because I mean. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's named after some kind of scientist.
Yeah, no.
So it's a good idea, some kind of electrical scientist, but
it didn't work. It was on a bad map as well, and that just makes everything. That just changes.
But the thing is, he's also forgotten because no one plays Transit because everyone knows that the denizens are just there, and I mean everyone hates the denizens, but
the size of the map.
He's quite rare, Avogadro, on
even when he has escaped.
Because the thing is, I don't think anyone ever survives past like round 1 on Transit. To be fair, so he just never appears, and when he does appear, he's gone really quickly. So you just never catch him.
You never need. Yeah, he's irrelevant for me anyway. So next, I'm probably going to say now I'm going to put in the astronaut, because the reason he's a little bit higher up the list is because of the way I kind of have a little bit of respect for the astronaut, only because I don't know. I just guess he's got this sort of reputation as
being an arsehole. Well, he is an arsehole.
And the way he kind of tanks it slowly around the map. That's the one thing I'm glad he's really, really slow. But he's purely because of his reputation is why he isn't any lower. And just everyone knows the astronaut. Everyone's afraid of the astronaut. Even the best zombies players, he can just catch you out So for that reason, he's I say that a lot.
Well, because there's no kind of like way that you can like determine his movements. Whereas with boss zombies, you know sometimes where they're going to spawn, what you need to do, but there's not even like, for example, like hellhounds and spiders and that they all have like warnings. Yeah. So the game makes a noise, for example, like the weather gets cloudier, but the astronaut just appears. Yeah. And it's not even like on a set round, so it's not like every fifth round for like hellhounds. He just appears.
And when you kill him, he just comes back the next round, and it doesn't take too long to kill him in Black Ops 3 because you have this overpowered things like the death machine. But you know, even if you do manage to kill him, there's no benefit to it except a round without him, and then he'll come back the previous round just a little bit stronger. So I don't really see the point in him, but I still have respect for him or her. Yeah, who am I to judge or assume? So
I don't know. It's difficult now. I think I'm gonna have to play spiders now though.
Okay.
Like, I don't have a problem with the spiders.
No.
In my eyes, it's just a free round.
Yeah.
Easy to kill. They don't have any relevance to me at all. I'm not scared of them. They're just an inconvenience.
And I think the thing with the spiders is I don't know. I think they were designed to be annoying and irritating and obviously scary, but obviously they're not really scary. But they're just designed. I think the one good thing about the spiders is staying on focus to design is they fulfill what they were supposed to do. Like, they're your typical spider. Like, they don't do anything stupidly surreal, or they don't act in a way that you wouldn't think they would act. They literally, you see spider around, they just do what a spider would do.
Well, the thing is, it's relevant. It's the hellhound equivalent for Zetsubai.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
And but the thing with other things, like for example similar to the parasites in a sense, where they do what they're supposed to do. Like a parasite flying around in the air, it's annoying. It's legitimately a parasite. And the spiders are a similar thing. Spiders are just annoying. They're
not the spider round is specific. It's just when they spawn.
Yeah,
just randomly. Because they'll ruin your train. Because you'll get hit, you'll get damage, and they'll just appear. And obviously, you can't forget they're a lot quicker than the standard zombie.
Exactly. I mean, that's the one thing I kind of have going for them, is that they do what they're supposed to be doing. Things like the witches, like,
or just don't.
Really, it's like it's just unnecessary. The spiders, they're not really unnecessary. They do what they're supposed to do. Everything kind of works with them, but they're really annoying. They're really sort of they're not good, but they're good at doing their job, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my next one probably coming up is going to be the have we covered this? No. So it's going to be the Nova crawlers from Kino. And the reason for this is that I just they're easy to kill, but they're really annoying as well, because that gas that they release is just a killer. It's a killer. If you walk into a crowd of that, especially on Black Ops 1, not so much on Black Ops 3, they kind of toned it down a bit.
I wouldn't say it's walking through it, it's when one explodes on you.
Okay.
And it's like a concussion grenade effect, where it slows down your movement, it's impaired, and you're guaranteed to get swiped.
Yeah, and it really just messes you over.
Plus in Black Ops 2, you've got to remember, it's the last game where Black Ops 1, where you only get hit twice and you're down.
Yeah, and
that's without Jug.
That's without Jug, and because of that, they're just such an inconvenience on Black Ops 1 and they just get in the way, and they can be a real game ender if you're not careful. But at the same time, I hate the things. They're just so annoying and just similar to all the other sort of miniature things like the spiders and the parasites and the meatballs. They fit into that kind of character.
More inconveniences rather than...
Yeah, good way to put it.
But in terms of that, I'm actually going to say my next pick is going to be the Nova Crawlers drug addict cousins from Die Rise. I mean, I don't know if you can ever remember them, but they're Nova Crawlers, but I don't think they release the gas. But they are quick.
Yeah.
And they jump and they do
walls,
damage.
Yeah.
And as we've mentioned so many times with die rise, it is natural for a player to run away from danger. And on die rise, you make a mistake, you fall out of the map.
Yeah.
And you just down.
They really mess you up, and they can block off your path really easily. They jump on the wall and then jump off the wall in front of you, and they kind of overtake you. And
they're an absolute nightmare. Yeah. They're not even an inconvenience. They are an absolute living nightmare. I hate
the only good thing I suppose I can think of is if you can kill them without. I think if you can kill them without shooting, then you actually get a free perk.
You can do it with the glitch where you stay. Well, it's not really a glitch, is it? It's the trample steam where you sit on the edge and put a trample steam in front of you, and then you get the free perk. Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing really going for them. But aside from that, they're just really irritating and a nightmare, as Kieran put it. Similarly, I think I'm going to have to put the same thing, because for the same reasons really. Also, I don't know. They're just like out of all of the irritating nuisances of the boss zombies, I think that the direct crawlers are probably by far the sort of they take the number one spot when it comes to being irritating and a nuisance. Out of all the other things, meatballs, spiders, parasites, even denizens, I think the direct crawlers take the trophy when it comes to being just a living nightmare. But that's just my opinion.
Well, it's a fair point. I mean, I was going to say, I'm not going to put the normal Nova Crawlers just yet, because I'm going to put the Shrieker Zombie now.
Okay.
I don't really have a problem with the Shrieker Zombie. As you know, I really like Shang.
Yeah.
They're really easy to get rid of. It's just, as I've said, the main thing that you need on Shang is visibility. It takes away that visibility, but it's really weak. It's really easy to get rid of. So instead of it being like a prolonged inconvenience that actually puts you in danger, like, for example,
but don't forget that it can be like that. If you don't go to it quick enough, then it can.
Yeah, no, that's true. But like you said, they're really, really weak. And I mean, I think in comparison to the like the napalm zombie, they don't actually spawn that often.
No.
The napalm zombie spawns every few rounds. The Shrieker doesn't. And you know when it's going to come, because your screen kind of goes a bit weird nearby, and it's quick and it looks completely different, so it's really easy to single out from the crowd. It's really easy to pick off, and then the inconvenience is gone. But like I said, it is crucial to have that visibility on a map that's really as close knit, especially when you're down like all of the mine shafts in Shangri-La.
If it gets you there, then if it's really annoying when if you're training, especially, or you're just generally in a situation with a lot of zombies, and one of those things comes along, you're probably going to down, because it just impairs your vision and your hearing, and you can't really operate when you're getting shrieked by it. But fair point, it's easily wiped out, and so it's a temporary inconvenience. Similarly, my next one is going to be the napalm zombie for similar reasons. I feel like it's a threat if you don't know how to control it. Kind of like fire in real life, I suppose. If you don't know what you're doing with it, or you don't know how to operate it, really, it can really mess you over. And the thing with the napalm zombie is that it, as dangerous as it is and as damaging as it can be, if it gets close to you, it'll explode, which could down you, but that is the end of it. Like, after that, that's it, no more napalm zombie. And it's really slow as well. I think it actually has a decent amount of health, but
they're quite strong. They're quite strong,
but they're really slow, which is really good. If that thing was running at you like the Shrieky Zombies does,
you'd have no hope. No. So it's evened out. Yeah. I think that's why it's. If it was quick, as well, if it was quick, the same health, it'd be pretty much the worst boss zombie, definitely on par. But I think now my next one has definitely got to be the napalm zombie as well. Okay. In relation to that, for exactly the same reasons as you. Yeah, no. The only reason it's not any lower is because of, like I said, the speed, and I don't really see it as an inconvenience, because if you've got a decent gun and you know what you're doing, it's easy to just pick off.
Yeah, and of course, and obviously you need it for the Easter egg as well.
Yeah,
which is a good thing. Next for me, I'm gonna say again George Romero, because he is just, I think I have he has again, similar to the astronaut, he has a reputation in the zombies community. Everyone knows George Romero in terms of Call of Duty Zombies, but he's just so
Annoying.
Call of the Dead would be such a better map in my opinion if they got rid of George Romero, because he just
and the weather
gets
changes.
in the way. And the weather changes when
remove the fog.
When we do maps, we'll
remove
come
the
on to
fog.
that. Jason Blundell is a massive fan of the fog, but George Romero, if they got rid of him from the map, I feel like it would be a lot better map, in my opinion.
And I think now, I can safely say we need to put the Nova Crawlers.
Okay.
For me,
yeah.
Yet again, just an inconvenience rather than a problem.
Yeah.
It's more. So when it's the higher round, they're okay because they've got equal amount of speed as the normal running zombies.
Yeah.
But on the lower rounds, when you've got running zombies but really slow crawlers, they're going to mess up that train. Especially the immortal training spot on the stage on Kino.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing with Nova Crawlers, they will easily screw that up because you walk round the corner, all of the zombies are following you, but the Nova Crawlers turn around and face you head on. And if there's one or two, you can jump over them, but if you've got a group, then you're just trapped.
That's the end. Yeah, no. Definitely a major inconvenience. Next for me, I'm gonna say the Furies from Revelations.
Really?
Because as badass as they may have been portrayed in the Revelations trailer, when the Revelations trailer dropped, everyone was mental about them. They're like, "Whoa, what's that?" And then in game,
I was very disappointed.
In game, exactly, they're half your size. They're weak as hell. They're really common too. It's not like a every once in a while kind of danger. It's a common slight threat.
And you know that it's kind of like you expect a boss zombie to like kind of appear when you've got some perks, decent amount of points, and good weapons. But no, they appear on round one. Soon as you're doing the corruption engine, one knife, they're gone.
Yeah, no, they're pathetic really for what they should have been. They're pathetic for their name. I don't think their name is deserving at all.
I think it's about time now then that I move on to my next Black Ops 3 pick and put the meatballs now.
Okay.
So I don't actually mind them. I think they're really innovative. I love the idea. If you have a look at them close up on Google Images, it's kind of like a collection of like intestines, and they look like the apothecary server, just kind of like squished into a ball.
Okay.
And then placed. And yet again, they're, as with most of these, kind of like an inconvenience, and it's like the design of them is brilliant, and I like the concept, but I don't mind them. I think the only reason they're kind of like in the middle is because I just find them annoying during the Easter egg steps.
I did not know they had mouths.
Yeah.
At all. Just because you didn't know that either.
Yeah, they look like the apothecary servant squished into a ball.
I didn't know they had
It's
mouths.
just that they're rolling at you at such speed you can't actually see. Like they're kind of like a collection of body parts. Enrolled into a ball.
I did. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that's definitely more freaky. Look at those teeth. If you ever get a chance, Google Black Ops 3 meatball. I didn't know that. Learn something new today, and I've played Shadows of Evil a lot. Oh my gosh, you don't really see it. I thought it was just like a hole in the...
No. That's why I kind of like them, because there's a lot more going on in the background than what you can see.
Yeah.
I like the aesthetic. If we're going on terms of like we did with the Wonder Weapons, they've got really good aesthetic to them in terms of like design and what they look like. It's really freaky, but they're kind of cool, and I think they serve a purpose.
Yeah,
as
definitely.
well.
I think I kind of regret putting them so far down the list now. I mean, I did not know what they look like. Now I do. I see they've got these like tentacles. They have multiple mouths. That's actually where the light comes from. I didn't know that, but they actually look really cool.
And they scream when they scream. It's just I obviously, because they're a boss, I mean they're inconvenient, but they're cool. And I just like them.
Okay, that's fair enough. I can go along with that. I think now I'm gonna have to say the Thrasher, because out of all of the more humanoid,
fuck the Thrasher. I just hate the Thrasher.
Out of the more humanoid boss zombies we're coming to now, I think the Thrasher is definitely the weakest and the most pussy. I just don't like the Thrasher at all in terms of bigger boss zombies, because obviously I think I mentioned this before, but in Shadows of Evil and Horizon Drake with the Panzer, you had the Magua, tough guys, and then it got to Zetsubo, and what is this? Easily killed if you've got like a shotgun or the non-stop way or the KT4, but they're not really what they're supposed to be.
I think that's why I'll put the Furies as next for me.
Okay.
I mean, like, as with the meatballs, I love the aesthetic. They were just disappointing.
Yeah.
I wish that they were just like a lot more powerful.
No,
did a little bit more than what they were meant to. So I think they've got the same kind of like, some of like the issues that the Wonder Weapons have. They look cool. They're in the right map. There's lots of stuff good about them. I wanted a little bit more.
Yeah, no.
Something that was a little bit more of a challenge.
The Furies were definitely a disappointment for me, and the Thrasher as well. If you go back and have a look at the Zetsubo trailer, the Thrasher was sort of the money shot at the end. It was given off to be this big tough guy, and it just wasn't. Which is why Thrasher was put there for me. But I definitely think they can be really annoying. They can be really annoying in certain situations, which is why it's ranked fairly high on the list, higher than like George Romero, because I just think the Thrashers they can get you. They can really get to you in some situations, but a lot of the time they're just an inconvenience. Next, to match Kieran's Furies, I'm gonna have to go with the. It's a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Pentagon Thief from 5, because if we're talking about being a pussy, he steals your gun and then runs away. And I mean, he doesn't attack you at all, and you get a fire sale for killing him.
It's not a fire sale, right?
And it's not a fire sale, but it's a form of fire sale.
It's the only reason I'm putting the Pentagon Thief soon, not now, but if you kill him without him taking any of your guns, and you kill him fairly quickly, he drops a bonfire sale. For those of you who don't know, on 5, it saves you linking all of the teleporters and doing all of the tedious stuff, plus the Pack-a-Punch is only 2,500.
Oh really?
It
was only like 1,000.
No, I thought that it was 2,500.
Oh,
it might be 1,000,
reduced,
but it reduces the price heavily. And that's the only reason why, if you know when the Pentagon Thief is going to spawn and you've got the right weapons, usually I say if you're not down in the labs, if you're up on kind of like.
I mean, even if he does take your weapon, as long as you manage to kill him before the time runs out, then you'll get a bonfire sale anyway.
That's the only reason I'm placing him, because I think that he's irritating. He doesn't do a lot, but it's the fact that he gives you the bonfire sale.
The reward is. They should have swapped like that reward with like George Romero, because how tough it is to kill George, and the reward is just so not great. It's a similar thing with the Pentagon Thief. Like he's actually quite tough to kill, but he's not a recurring boss zombie. Unlike he's not as tough as George, and so I think they should have swapped the rewards around, because like a bonfire sale for George Romero, that would be brilliant. That would be such a good incentive to actually kill him, because otherwise he's just really annoying. But yeah, no, I've played the Pentagon Thief relatively high because of his bonfire sale, but at the same time he's not really someone I consider too much of a threat.
Like I said, I'm not going to put him yet. I'm going to say Mangler's next from Gorod. Just because I don't have a lot of experience with Manglers. I mean, I haven't played Gorod that much. I'll hold my hands up and say that. But they just seem really weak. I mean, if you have a Mark III, then they're just like any other zombie. I mean, the first time I played them, I was like, oh god, it's like loads of panzers all at once, but it's just not. They're not really a challenge. I mean, the only reason they're not low down is because I don't even find them an inconvenience. They're just a stronger form of zombie.
Yeah, that's true. They don't really get in your way.
No. They look pretty cool as well. So I mean, we've still got to go on the aesthetic value as always.
The thing is, the Magnus is that usually what they do in their past with boss zombies is they'll integrate them with regular zombies on later rounds. For example, I think it's around round 20 that the Hellhounds start coming with zombies on Durries. But the Manglers, they sort of join in immediately, and because of that, you get used to them and you learn how to kill them quicker earlier on an earlier round, and because of that, they're not too much of a threat, and I kind of get that as well, which is why I think. I'm probably going to put him in the same place, because all the other people on the list, I mean, that we haven't mentioned yet, are generally stronger, in my opinion.
So, if you're going along, I'm going to say my next pick is actually the Keepers.
Really? Okay, interesting.
It's like the Manglers.
Yeah.
I love keepers for the fact they're keepers. They are an imperative part of the storyline. They look amazing. I mean, you can't. They're like demons. They fly. They're really tall. You know, big spiky teeth. And I do believe the skull of Nan Sapway is actually a keeper. Skull, so it's got a lot of meaning. But like I said, they're just really weak. They don't offer a challenge. But the reason why I like them and the reason they're this high up is because they add a new layer. Into the actual playability of the zombies maps, not just the underlying storyline, but they're a part of the storyline that's present and that you can enjoy and kind of like integrate with the gameplay. So they don't offer anything. They're not a challenge. They just offer a little bit of excitement.
And whenever one comes along, I enjoy killing them, not because I want to kill them. I just enjoy their presence. It sounds weird. I know they're an enemy, but I like the keepers. So for that reason, they're going to be a little bit higher up. And actually, now I'm going to put the Valkyrie drones, because the Valkyrie drones, as annoying as they can be, if you don't have the Mark III or like a death machine, they're actually quite tough to kill, and they can be really annoying when they're spawning in all those minions and they're just running at you with these electric things. And when the Valkyries are spawning these minions in, they actually go off and hide. It's like they're giving birth in secret, and you have to hunt down that Valkyrie in order to stop the flow of electrical zombies, which is why I rate them quite highly, because they're quite a tough boss, in my opinion, that is. Anyway, obviously Kieron has put them slightly lower down the list, but for me I think they're underestimated in my opinion.
I can go with that. Like I said, it's more I place them further down because of when you're doing the imperative Easter egg steps, you need to keep a zombie alive, and then they just spawn one. And I mean, if you're doing the step and you need to be, especially like the bomb step, where you need the focus, you need to know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden the zombie just appears. It's just really, really inconvenient. That's the reason why I placed them. But I'm actually going to say my next one, and it is the Pentagon Thief.
Okay.
Like I said, I've already mentioned my thought on the Pentagon Thief, and the only reason I'm mentioning this fire down is because the bonfire sale is amazing.
Yeah, no, I can totally.
And it just makes a game like 5, where you need a pack-a-punch gun as soon as possible. You need the perks as soon as possible, which means you've got a pack-a-punch gun at a reduced price, which means you've got enough money for speed and jug and double tap and all of that. So he's irritating. Yeah, he's a bit of a challenge.
I think as well, one thing I really like about the Pentagon Thief is that he's such a mystery. No one really knows what he's doing, and he looks cool as well. I think personally, he's got the glasses, and he's a
mad scientist. He's the traditional mad scientist kind of.
And I think we haven't, other than Richtofen and Maxis, we haven't really seen anyone else like that. So I think that having one as like a natural in-game enemy was really nice idea. So I can actually respect that.
I think after this one, you can agree that we're moving on to the bosses that are in the badass category.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know my order though. I think for now I'm going to put down the spider boss from Zetsubo.
Okay.
Now the reason I'm going to put the spider boss from Zetsubo down is that as cool a concept as it is, I mean, fighting a giant spider in the secret blue cave, it's totally unexpected. You just slide down the small like rock shaft waterfall thing, and he just comes out, and he's big, he's scary, he's tough, except he's not that scary and he's not that tough. With two pack-a-punch dingoes,
he's gone so quickly.
He's gone incredibly fast. Maybe even just one pack-a-punch dingo. He's not that great. And of course I get it, he's like a half boss fight preparing you for the Takeo boss fight later on, but it could have been a little bit tougher. I think they should have sort of. I get the fact that Takeo, Nikolai, Dempsey, they all had to be killed for the storyline. But I think that the spider boss, I think they could have done it in a much more interesting way. I didn't really like the fact you had to fight Takeo. I didn't, especially again repeating that with Nikolai later on. I think that if they'd done the spider boss as the big spot, the boss, and they'd made it like a big hairy spider instead of like the thin-legged sort of irritating spider, it would have been better. I feel like it had potential, similar to the spider bait wonder weapon we were talking about last podcast. I think they had potential to go somewhere with it that they didn't.
Not to mention the fact that after you kill it, you get free Willow's wine forever.
Yeah, I mean there is that, but that's
one of the most OP perks for free.
Definitely, probably one of my top 3 favourite perks ever.
But that's something that we can also discuss. That's some of the points. I'm going to say that my next one, it's going to be the spider boss for me as well.
Okay. Yeah.
For the simple reason, the only reason that it's here and not like more into the badass awesome is it's just too weak.
Yeah.
It didn't offer a good challenge. Like I said, it's good, and I like the maps that have got the extra layers of depth.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice surprise, and obviously I can remember the first time I played Zetsubo, I didn't know that it was going to happen. It was a really, really nice surprise. It's interesting. It's just way too weak, and I would have liked a different challenge, something that's a bit more. Yeah, bit more lengthy and a bit more exciting.
Yeah, the spider boss was definitely a disappointment in the end. It was nice to begin with, but after a while it gets a bit runs out a bit too quick. So my next choice is going to be the keepers, simply because of how iconic they are. They've only been in three maps I think. Zetsubo, Shadows and Revelations. Oh, and of course the Horizon Track and the boss fight. They've been all scattered all throughout Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 3 has been out 3 years at this point. Well, 2 years, almost 3 years at this point, and it's just they've really worked their way into this sort of staple of zombies, as we were talking about, at least in my opinion, because despite the typical zombies thing would be like Juggernog, a monkey bomb, a ray gun. Like those are your three like typical zombies things, but I think the keepers are sort of working their way in there too, because you see a keeper, you know it's zombies.
It's like I said, I'm never ever. It's like if a keeper spawns in, I'm never like, oh great.
Yeah, no, I enjoy the keepers.
It's something that I wouldn't say I enjoy keepers, because it's just. I just don't mind them. I think you could say, because like I said, I just like the extra layer of depth that they add, not necessarily the extra challenge, but the different gameplay aspect of it.
No, definitely, I do agree.
And actually, I may surprise you, because my next one, I'm going to go the Takeo boss.
Takeo boss, okay, interesting.
The only reason it's this far down and not with any of the other boss fights is no one pays attention to Takeo.
No.
In that boss fight, you're more concentrated on not being completely and utterly destroyed by Thrashers, that you don't pay any attention to Takeo. I mean, don't get me wrong, the cutscene is really cool. It's my favourite cutscene. Takeo version 1 and Takeo version 2 both commit suicide at the same time. It's something that I find. I like that. It's just that in terms of him as a boss, he could have offered a lot more. Yeah, no, definitely.
I think that as we are going towards the more badass end of the spectrum, Takeo doesn't. I mean, the concept of it is better than the actual thing. I think it's a very similar thing with the spider boss and a few others. The concept of fighting Takeo is actually quite an interesting one, especially as he's this. It's very.
It was a big build up for nothing.
Big build up for
it
not
was
much.
Getting all of the parts, going down the elevator, going down that long corridor to a tiny room.
And it's just
not a huge arena.
Takeo wasn't even the main threat, as you were saying. It's the Thrashers that offer the big challenge in the boss fight, unlike the other boss fights, where it's generally the main boss. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think the only thing that would potentially beat that for me, or potentially come before that for me, is the Hellhounds, because I think the Hellhounds, as nostalgic as they are, a proper staple of Call of Duty zombies, they're so weak and they're so overused at this point, which is why I believe that Treyarch actually switched it up.
First boss zombie as well.
First boss zombie, technically, yeah. It's first boss zombie, but I just think because they're the first boss zombie, that's why Treyarch kind of changed up in Black Ops 3 with the parasites and the meeples and the spiders and the keepers. To add a new layer, because the Hellhounds are just they've been used so many times, and I love them to pieces, but they're too repetitive to make it any further in the list.
I think my next pick is purely because I've only encountered it once,
right?
So I can't really have a fair comment on it, and it's going to be the dragon from Gorod. Really cool idea. I love the fact that you have to shoot the glowing like body parts, and then it dies. That's really all I know. But the thing is, from what I can remember, it wasn't strong. it just added that little bit extra to Garrod that I really, really liked. And obviously the fact dragons are such a central part of Garrod, you know.
Yeah.
You start in the room and you've got the big dead one by the side of you, and the fact that, you know, you've got the dragon strike with it breathing its breathing fire, and obviously the fact it breathes fire every now and again, you know, the shield parts. It's interesting. It's just, from what I can remember, it was easy, and like I said, you like a challenge with the boss fight, and although there was a very good challenge with the Garrod boss fight, as we'll discuss later on, I presume, the dragon, it was a nice addition, but in some respects it didn't really need to be there.
I feel like the thing with the dragon boss fight is, the reason why I've put the spider boss fight before the dragon boss fight is because the dragon boss fight is just such a badass thing. You know, you're fighting, you literally, like, who would have thought back in World War, even in Black Ops 1, even in Black Ops 2, who would have thought you'd be fighting and killing a dragon in Call of Duty Zombies? Now, that could be argued that's a bad thing, that it's gone way too out of hand and it's blown up completely, but I think that's a good thing. That's so cool. You know, this is dragon. You've literally killed the dragon. How many people can claim they've...
It's satisfying, but like I said, it needed...
But I feel like
it either needed to be more of a challenge or removed completely, in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. But the dragon's actually going to come after Takio, and I'm going to put him in at this spot instead of the dragon. But the dragon's going to come next for me.
Is it Takio for the same reasons I stated?
Same reasons you stated.
Okay, that's fine. So next time I'm going to put the staple of zombies. It's the good old hellhounds.
It's the hellhounds, it's alright.
We love them to pieces, but like you said, they're overused now.
Yeah,
we know when it's going to come, and gone are the days where I'm excited for a hellhound round.
Yeah.
I'm literally only thinking, free max ammo.
I think that's the first thing that came to anyone's head. I mean, I remember playing Town on Black Ops 2. You had the option to turn the hellhounds on and off, and I'd always make sure the hellhounds were on because it was just a free max ammo. It wasn't because I particularly liked them; they were a bit annoying, but you know, free max ammo. Who doesn't want that?
I think the reason why they're always going to be in my heart is because the sheer excitement I felt when I first played.
Yeah, and those hellhounds would come running towards
you. When I first played Shino Numa.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was more along the lines of the first time I played it and I didn't know what to expect. You know, this interesting round start music. Oh, okay, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden, this massive flaming dog running towards you. It's a good memory. Like you said, they've been in quite a lot of the maps now. We know what's coming.
Yeah, I think they're a bit overused at this point. Same reasons as before. The dragon's going to come next after Takio and after the Hellhound. I mean, the dragon, the battle of the dragon is really fun. It's really fun in my opinion, but it's not quite there, which is why it hasn't made the top. It's only come 7th place in terms of badass. I think it's so cool, but it's not good enough.
The dragon boss fight is overshadowed by the one after.
Yeah,
that's the only problem.
The problem. I think if it ended on a big dragon ending sort of thing, fine, but it just leaps straight into the next boss fight, which is actually, come to think of it, I think all of the Setsubo, Garrod, and Revelations all have 2 boss fights. Actually, come to realise. I don't know why I just realised that. Anyway,
what's the one on Setsubo? The second one.
Takio and Spider and Takio.
Oh yeah.
Then Nikolai and Dragon, and then Revelation is the Shadow Man.
Oh yeah. Well, if we go in alignment then with the Black Ops 3 boss fights, my next one was the Keeper boss from Darius and Drak.
I mean, I love the Darius and Drak boss fight.
It is. It's really, really fun. It's really interesting. It's just we've got a couple more individual bosses, I think you could say, that just overshadow it. It's really, really fun. I like the addition of the skeletons and the Undercroft. It's really good. I mean, the overall feel and the atmosphere that you get when you're down there is almost unmatched, and I love it to pieces. And it's just so satisfying when obviously you complete that Easter egg. After doing all of the steps, and it's a cool cutscene with Dempsey.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Darius and Drak boss fight, I think the Keeper boss fight, in my opinion, is probably the best boss fight out of all of the ones we've had. Revelations cutting it close in 2nd place, but Darius has to take it from me. And for that reason, I'm actually going to put the Shadow Man himself at this point. Yeah, I think the Shadow Man is completely. He's a badass character in this story. Because of that reason, he's in 7th place, but he is so weak. You only fight him three times. First time in
it's gonna be Shadows.
He's the only reason he's hard to kill is because he's zipping about the place, and you miss him when you're shooting him down with a dingo. Like you're gonna miss. If you miss for a couple of seconds, he goes back and you have to restart the boss fight. But he doesn't attack you, like barely ever. The only time you could consider him attacking you is during the Revelations boss fight, the first boss fight when he's got all the different abilities going on. But I don't know if that's even him controlling that. That wasn't really made clear. It wasn't made clear that it was him, the Shadow Man himself, doing that. And during the Revelations introductory cutscene, the reason why he's in 7th place is because the Shadow Man is made out to be this badass character, this real kind of, as to quote Dr. Monty, the harbinger of doom, or harbinger of doom.
He's just an apothecary, and although they're bad, apothecans are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. He's like the leader, and he's contrasting with Dr. Monty, who's supposed to be this godly character. He's such a cool character, I guess, but I think that he just doesn't quite cut it because his boss fights as a zombie boss, he's not strong enough, in my opinion.
So that's why I'm going to put him next.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
For exactly the same reasons. I can't say anything else because you've covered it all.
I mean, not to mention the final boss fight of the Revelations. Literally, it's so
easy.
Quick and so easy, and it's a rip-off straight from Shadows of Evil. You just have to shoot at him for long enough and you've killed him. And because of that...
It's the step before...
Yeah, the first Revelations boss fight is good.
Is so tense. Yeah. It's really challenging. It's enjoyable. I love the first step.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing with inexperienced players, and it's an absolute nightmare. But that's literally why near-death experience was invented.
No, definitely. As I was saying, I think that I think the boss fight, the Shadow Man is a good character, but he's bad in game. So next on the list, I'm actually going to put the Keeper boss. Because as good a boss fight as the Horizon boss fight is, I don't think that's entirely due to the Keeper boss himself. I think it's more to do with where you are, the skeletons you fight against, which are barely visible, the amount of panzers you have to take on. I think the actual Keeper boss itself doesn't play, obviously plays an enormous role in the story and an enormous role in the boss fight, but not he's not really the I don't really know how to phrase it, because he is the key of the boss fight, but he could have done more.
He's not the centre point.
He's not really,
because you spend more time thinking about the panzers and the skeletons, and then you only keep an eye on the Keeper boss when you need to do the Ragnarok step.
That's his only real attack. If you fluff up the Ragnarok step, then you're gonna all die, and it's an insta kill. But that's it. That's the only time you need to worry about the Keeper, because your attention is always on other things for the rest of the time, which is why he doesn't quite make the top 5. But now we're into our top 5. Who are you gonna start with? Our top 4. Rather.
It's gonna be difficult now. Okay, I know what I'm gonna say. So I hate them. They are my worst enemy. And if you are a new player and you experience one for the first time, you're gonna die.
Yeah. I think I know what you're gonna say.
It's inevitable. And I hate them, and I never want to see them again, and they're an absolute nightmare. But the Panzer has to come now. I think in terms of, I'm just going along with like my favourites now that have personal meaning for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not as into Origins as most people are.
Yeah.
And then especially when they returned in Black Ops 3, and they didn't have the power claw anymore. They had the
shock charge.
The shock charges, which are just so ridiculous. If they hit you point blank, you're gonna down. If you know how to deal with panzers, they're fine. Most people know. Obviously, on Black Ops 1, you've got the little red button that you can shoot. But like I said, if you're a new player, it is just a massive amount of stress, and they're just really just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, definitely.
But the only reason that I'm putting them this far down is, although that I hate them, they are so cool.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. I think that they're really, the reason why that they've been saved up to this point is because they're difficult to kill if you don't know how to deal with one, and you're only going to learn how to deal with one through experience, or a lot of YouTube, which is still counts as experience, I guess. they're not something you can just kill. For example, like the Hellhound, you can deal with the Hellhound, or like the like for example the Fury or the Spider or the Napalm potentially. You can deal with these things. If you come across a Panzer, you don't know what to do except shoot it, and sometimes that will work, but a lot of the time it won't. You have to kind of be tactical about where you shoot it, and how much ammo you actually are using on the thing. And I think it's just such a badass idea. And when we first showed it in Origins, it was just brilliant. It was brilliant because it was scary when he was chasing you down the tunnels and you had to build the portal to escape, and it was just brilliant. And I think definitely, but for me, I'm going to place him higher up because for me now I'm going to put as it sort of pains me just to have to put him in, but Nikolai and his mech suit in the Broad Crovey boss fight,
very difficult to kill.
Yeah,
very difficult to kill.
But I'm going to put him out of in third place because of how difficult, because of how badass he is. He's Nikolai. Everyone loves Nikolai, and he's in a mech suit, and he's just got a minigun. He's a giant robot. I mean, it's just so cool. I really enjoy the Grod Crovey boss fight. The only thing I do have to say about the Nikolai mech suit, which is why he didn't really cut it for me, is that we were introduced to him not that long ago, so he didn't really leave like I don't really feel him in my heart or whatever cringiness you want to say, but I just feel as though I don't know. I think that's not really anyone's fault. Obviously, it's Treyarch's for introducing him so late in the DLC 3 of Black Ops 3, but I think he hasn't really had time to settle in with the community. Yeah, unlike my number 1 and number 2 picks, but he's just so cool, and so much respect there for that boss fight and Nikolai 1.0. The drunken god, that's why he's coming in number 3.
Ooh, we're now okay. So
dangerous territories.
I'm gonna have to place the Margwas next.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, the Margwa is everything that I want in zombies. They are so cool to look at. The concept of them is amazing. And they're still a reasonable enough challenge to make their rounds exciting.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got the normal Shadows of Evil version, and then the elemental ones that obviously spawn in the Apothecon.
Yeah.
Inside Revelation. It's just everything about them I love. They're terrifying. Their presence is terrifying.
Yeah.
They make such a cool noise and light when they spawn in.
Yeah.
Obviously,
especially the elemental ones,
and then the concept that they've got no eyes but they can still see you and chase you, and they run after you with tentacles, and if you get near them you are insta-downed. But the main thing that I love, and it's just so simple, is their mouths and the way that you have to kill them.
The style of death, it's not just to shoot it till it dies.
And obviously, unlike the zombies that you just shoot and they just die, the Margwa falls backwards and explodes in a really shower of, I don't necessarily know if you can call it gore, but green sludge in it. It's just everything about them. They're spawning in is just so satisfying. The fight against them is just so satisfying, and when you kill them, it's just so satisfying. It's just everything that you want in, and I wouldn't even call them a boss fight. It's just when they spawn in, it just adds so much more to the game, and I'm just so glad that they did actually add them in.
I think I'm gonna have to agree and put it in the same place for the same reasons, but also on top of the fact that I think that a similar reason to I don't want to go back on myself and be a bit hypocritical here, but so I'm not going to be, because the Margwas haven't really had a chance, just like Nikolai has, to really integrate themselves into the community properly. They have, obviously, everyone knows what a Margwa is, everyone fears the Margwa, they're a big part in the zombie storyline, but they're not as nostalgic, and they're not as feared as some of the bosses out there. But I feel like they're definitely number 3 worthy. Do you want to go next, or should I?
Yeah. So obviously final 2 now, and I'm gonna have to say Nikolai and his mech suit.
Okay.
Now, I mean, not much can be said. You yet again pretty much covered it, but it's just Nikolai. He is going to go down in history as one of video games' greatest characters ever. No matter which one it is, version 1, version 2, he's always awesome. I think you can agree Nikolai's quotes in game are some of the funniest, the best. Yeah. But they're also the most in depth. Obviously, I think the only person who's on par with him is Richtofen. But obviously, as we know, Richtofen is probably the most important character in the entire of the zombie storyline. But Nikolai, you've got the version 2 where he's really philosophical.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's this highly revered Russian soldier. He's just incredible at what he does, and then obviously everything that's happened in his past has had that big effect on him. Hence, we've got Nikolai 1. You know, that we know and love from Kino and the original games, and all of his quotes, and obviously all of those immortal lines about the vodka. Obviously, it's just everything, and mention in the fact that he also helps you in the dragon part of the boss fight, and then fight alongside, and then he just turns. And then, like I said, I haven't got much experience with Gorod Krovy, but it's still very memorable, and it's like I said, it's just Nikolai is one of the best characters.
Definitely, I can see where you're coming from there. I think in my number 2 spot is actually I think Kieron and I's number 1 spot is going to be different this time around. I think I do have a reason for putting my number 2 spot as my number 2 spot, my number 1 and my number 1. And in number 2, I'm going to have to say Brutus from Mob of the Dead. And the only reason I'd say why Brutus is not in the number 1 spot is because he has only appeared in one zombies map. And to be honest, because Mob of the Dead came out so long ago, and since many people haven't played it in ages, there hasn't been talk about him. There hasn't been him in trailers. He's not been remastered. It's almost like Treyarch are trying to get you to forget about him. And because of that, people, I don't think he's not as well known. He's not as revered as the Panzer Soldat is, which is why my number 1 spot is going to go to the Panzer Soldat from Origins and Der Eisen and Revelations.
Well, my reasoning for Brutus is he's
being a number 1 spot,
a perfect character in the perfect map.
Okay.
As I think most people would agree, either Mob of the Dead or Origins comes under the best zombie maps of all time, and obviously mine is Mob of the Dead. Just the overall feeling, the storyline, the characters, and Brutus has that right amount of threat and suspense that you should get, but he's also not ridiculously overpowered.
No.
And obviously he's so important, and I love it when bosses have actual proper vocal lines.
Okay.
So obviously you can hear him speak during the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Obviously that
Whenever
deep growl, and it's so cool when he spawns in, because I mean, as we will probably mention in the maps, the soundtrack to Mob of the Dead is incredible, and his spawning and his just the sounds that he makes, and obviously whenever he's nearby, obviously your screen shakes a little bit.
Yeah. No,
obviously his presence is there, and then that extra little bit where he goes round and he locks all of the perk machines. He just adds so much to an already incredible map, and he's just very close in my heart. And like I said, Mob of the Dead has everything that I want. It's got Brutus. It's just the map, the soundtrack, the Blundergat. It's just everything really.
I do see where you're coming from. I mean, I totally love Mob of the Dead. Definitely one of my favourite maps of all time, if not the favourite map of all time. But I think that the only reason why, as I've said, the Brutus is sort of not necessary, but in my opinion, it has sort of been lost in the past of zombies, just like Mob of the Dead. Not to say Brutus isn't a brilliant boss, which he is, which is why he's on my number 2 spot. But the reason the Panzer takes it is because I feel like, everyone, that when the Panzer arrives, the fact that he doesn't say anything is actually a reason why I think that he's just that bit more badass, because
it's just that warning siren.
The presence of the Panzer is all that's needed, to get people, people that the second you hear that warning sign, the second you hear him land somewhere, but you
mass
can't
panic.
see him, mass panic, you're like, what's going on? and especially he can really mess you up, the Panzer, because I feel like Brutus has to get close to you to attack you. The Panzer can mess you up from afar, even if it's Panzer 1 or Panzer 2. Panzer 1's got the claw, he can drag you through hordes of zombies and you're dead.
Burn your face
off. And Panzer 2 has shock charges that really mess you up. If you get hit by one of those things, you might as well die. But I think that's why I totally understand why your Brutus is number 1, but I also think the Panzer just about grabs it. But anyway, that was our discussion of the best to the worst sort of, the worst to the best sort of boss zombies within the Black Ops 3. Let us know if who's your favourite down in the comment section below, and let us know if we missed something. We tried our hardest to go through all of the bosses or special zombies we could think of, and I think we got them all. But if we, just in case we didn't, leave a comment down below saying which ones we missed, and we'll try and slot them into our rank. But anyway, yeah. As
always, remember to like and subscribe.
Yes, of course.
And we will see you next time for another discussion.
Looking forward to that. So turn on the notifications if you wish to stay tuned, and see you next time.